Hello everyone, and
Sorry.
The Down syndrome starts already.
I was pulling out my Picard.
Please
Never
put on
ju-
your Picard. Put your Picard back, man. Put your Picard away.
Perfect. I was pulling out Picard.
That's a whole new meaning to making the bald man cry. Oh.
Oh no!
Also, hated said hi droid. Or it said tell the audience I said hi droid. So I'm guessing you're saying hi droid.
Yeah, I guess so.
Alright, hated says hi droid.
okay. So has pulling out the Picard, pulling out my Picard, become a euphemism for masturbation now?
I think it is now. Yep.
If
We'll
so,
see what
Patrick,
happens after this gets on the
cry.
internet. Come on, let's just get over that and do this.
Okay.
Oh, I already hurt from laughing. You guys suck. Oh, yeah, let's do this shit before I die.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the D20 campaign, Severin's Token. We left off our group of, I want to call them adventurers, but I think the better term would be twat waffles. We left them off with Vagabond's character Sapphire and 50-foot's character Clug sitting on the boat, having just been startled by the bird demons that had landed on their boats, which were transformed clerics of the anti-magic god. The crew are in sort of semi-religious, semi-apoplectic sort of confusion because their mast has been shattered, and Toad's character, Groncorella, has turned herself into a
30-foot long glowing
30-foot long glowing
giant
human or half-orc swimming thing that's powering the boat through the water.
I am currently paddling the boat around like a small floaty board.
Yep, like a floaty board. So the scene we have before us is a crew of Null on board the Millennium Enterprise.
Oh, I also convinced the flying creatures that were going to attack us that I was their god. That was fun.
You did.
Yes, you did. That's right. That's right, you did.
Oh, man.
On the Millennium Enterprise...
Still hate that.
I know, that's why I'm using it. I do it basically to torture you and 50. Because I know it causes you physical pain when I say it. The Null crew is basically without anything to do, because without a mast there's not really that much sailing they can do, and with the large sort of well manicured hands of Groncorella just gripping the side of the ship as she paddles through the water with it, the creaking of wood as her fingers dig into the wood, and which is really a bad thing. Yeah, Groncorella shouldn't be digging her fingers into the wood, but 50 just flinches. Oh dear. So you are now in a situation where the boat has no means of propulsion other than Toad. Toad is going to be large for an indeterminate length of time, and so you guys head for shore. And you come up for shore, or you come shore on a 20-foot high cliff face. You find a small gravel cove, sort of gravel inlet cove, that you can tuck the ship into. So you have traveled a decent distance south, and as Groncorella kind of pushes the boat up onto the gravel, she feels a sort of shimmering of magic and finds herself clinging to the back end of the boat, about 10 foot above the surface of the water.
No, can't you give me 5 more minutes?
Can't you give me 5 more minutes? No, I can't. So you're clinging to the rudder of the ship.
Damn it.
And
Well, you told me there's a 20-foot high cliff face. I'm like, hey, I'm 30 feet tall right now. Let's do a perception roll to look over the side of the cliff. Like, wink. And see what's around.
Wait. Roll that back. Do the noise again.
Wink.
Imagine anyone at the top of the cliff just randomly says that.
Right now, I'm picturing some attack.
Like
on
attack on Gronkorilla.
Yeah, just attack on Gronkorilla shit right
Oh
there.
god.
But I guess that's not gonna happen now. Because Droid and his
Oh,
magical
No, because
timeout.
Droid ruins all the fun. That is his purpose as DM, is to fuck with players and ruin their entertainments. So you have landed on the shore some distance south of Gunner Bay City. The terrain looks reasonably peaceful and calm. There's a large forest extending about sort of 50 foot back from the cliff, extending off into the distance. Getting up the cliff is going to be difficult. You can see a couple of cutaways, but no obvious way up. If you still had the mast, then you probably could have looped a rope from the mast or something like that. But unfortunately, the mast shattered when Gronkorella did her amazing magical trick, which was quite
Thanks a lot,
impressive.
Gronkorella.
Level 1 bar.
Hey, it would be pretty fantastical. See that.
So you are at the bottom of the cliff. The gravel beach extends north and south. Up on top of the cliff, there is the forest, and quite a distance in the south, just visible, is... oh, pardon me. I'm doing it now. 50, you've infected me. Just visible is a small island and a promontory of rock sticking out from the edge of the cliff. Decisions, actions, discussions. Off you go.
So what should we do first, guys?
So we got a cliff. And what else did we have? Sorry, I'm trying to remember the spells I had, the scrolls I had that I had to
You have
rewrite.
a...
One greater
have
engagement.
Yep. One Zappy Shock.
Right, Zappy Shock. And then
And
one like
one
greater
scroll.
magicka or something like
Majosity.
Majosity.
Because Googleus Maximus's translation skills cannot necessarily be trusted.
I think we should drink the Zappy Zap Zap.
Okay, you drink a scroll. Have fun with that. I'm gonna say we climb the
I didn't
damn
say I
thing.
was sober. Didn't say I was still sober.
I offer you the blue potion to drink, since you're intent on drinking something.
All right, I drink the blue potion.
Roll a fortitude save for me.
Oh shit! All right, that's a D20, right?
That's a d20 plus your fortitude.
All right, D20. That's 16. Fortitude saves plus 4. That's 20.
20? Okay. You feel a mild twitching in your leg muscles and your back muscles. But other than that, you can't figure out anything that's changed.
Well, what the fuck was that shit?
Twitchy fun time?
I'm just gonna...
Some kind of twitchifier? Was I supposed to like explode, turn blue, suddenly turn into suddenly go 30 feet like Gronkorella?
For all we
You
know,
be
it was
able
just
to do
like
that yoink thing.
carriage antifreeze.
Carriage.
Holy shit! I may have drank antifreeze. Does this mean I won't be able to turn into a block of ice?
I said for all we never mind. Let's just climb a damn hill. Or
All right,
cliff face,
let's
whatever.
scale the cliffside. Anyone got a grappling hook?
No,
You're on a trader vessel.
we are on a trader vessel. Yes.
Reasonably believable. They'll have a rope and both hooks somewhere.
All right. So I go up to one of the crewmates and ask, if there's a rope around.
The Knoll crewman kind of looks at you, looks at the tattered remains of the rigging from the shattered mast, and like the like approximately 700 or 800 foot of rope that just exists on the top of a sailboat, just like hanging from different bits of wood. And just looks at you and just goes, "Hey, up."
All right, thanks. I take some of the rope, tie it to my scythe, and before I do anything else, I take note that it's a very, very sexy scythe. Don't get me wrong, it's custom made. It's custom made.
Start this again.
And then
Have you got it written? Have you got that written down somewhere so you always say the same thing?
no.
Hesitation, though. There was too much hesitation. I need to see your character sheet now. Shit's sake.
I didn't put it down there. I didn't put it down there. But yeah, I tie it to like the shaft of the rope, so it forms like a weird grappling hook that's probably not gonna work. And then I'm gonna hold on. I need to think this through. Someone else do their turn.
Okay, so what is the distance of material, whether it's chain or rope or lace or whatever, on my Sangham, if I'm saying those right?
Sangham, yes. Or Sangheum, depending on how you want to pronounce it. The rope on a Sangheum tends to be about 15 foot long.
15 feet?
Yes.
Holy crap.
It's traditional for the rope of the Sangheum to go round the back, and then you have the weight and the tool.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm going to use my two Sangham and tie them together and basically use them as climbing picks with a hastily made harness formed from the ropes.
Okay.
Yeah. That work? I can use them like climbing picks?
They could be an improvised tool. Yes. You could use them as an improvised tool. Okay. So
We're right
You've
on
got-
a cliff face, right? There's
there's
I'm gonna-
a gravel beach, and the boat is resting on the gravel beach, and then you've got a slight rise of the gravel beach onto the cliff. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna try to woman handle my way up the rocks.
Okay, so because I know a couple of you are interested in DMing, we'll go through this the rules way. Right, so we'll go through it one at a time. Sapphire has created herself an improvised grappling hook.
Correct.
So she's created herself a scythe with a rope attached to it. Now, what you would normally do is you'd normally roll an attack roll now, because you've got essentially you're going to be throwing a medium weapon. So you aim to hit a DC of 10, because that's a DC of an inanimate object, to basically get your scythe up on top of the cliff. Your scythe will have an increment of 10 feet, because that's the standard increment for non-usual thrown weapons. So you receive a -6 for the distance, because you're throwing it over 30 feet. So you have to roll an attack roll with your scythe and get above a 16, basically, with your attack roll.
Alrighty. Before Sapphire... Oh, sorry.
That's just me climbing up that's just my attempt to climb the mountain, the cliff.
Okay. Go ahead, Vagabond.
All right. So before Sapphire tries to swings the improvised grappling hook, she realizes just how long this grappling hook is and how long the shaft of the scythe is, and that if she attempts to throw it, there is a really good chance that she could dismember quite a few limbs and possibly decapitate some heads by accident doing this. So rather than take that risk, we decided to give it to Gronkarella, who is Where's Gronkarella again? Sorry.
Right now on the boat or on the beach with everybody else, wherever we're at.
Yep.
All right, so it gives it to Gronkarella, and I ask her to swing it up to the top of the cliff, and it's a very, very sexy scythe. She tells her it's a very, very sexy scythe. Don't get me wrong, it's custom made, so don't break it, don't fondle with it. That's my job. And then I distance myself pretty far away.
Okay, so
And give her a thumbs up, too, because she's going to do a good job.
Gronkarella has now been handed a scythe with a rope attached to it.
What's the weight of the scythe?
Scythe weight, I believe, is it 10 pounds?
Okay, but custom made sexy with a naughty hole in it for an arrow.
I'm going to add 5 pounds to that.
Okay.
So, like, 15 pounds.
It's a heavy ass scythe, damn.
Okay.
Okay.
So since I'm doing improvised tool, can I use my does my improvised weapon also, would it give me any bonuses to the use of the improvised tool for the climbing hooks?
Improvised weapon wouldn't give you a bonus to use of an improvised tool.
Okay.
But basically, improvised weapon means you're not going to suffer a -4 penalty, because actually that's something I forgot. Because it's an improvised throwing weapon, you'd normally suffer a -4 penalty to the throw.
Mhm.
Because you have the improvised weapon skill, you don't suffer that -4 penalty for using an improvised weapon.
Okay. What do I have to beat to climb up the hill while carrying the scythe with my improvised climbing hooks?
Okay, so basically you would roll the climb skill, just like 50 is done. And you would add your climbing skill, which is a strength-based skill if you don't have any ranks in it. It's an untrained strength-based if you don't have any ranks in it.
10.
10. Okay. Now, I'm not going to tell you the DC until you start climbing, because that's not how it works. You don't get to know how difficult the cliff is to climb unless you try and roll a perception check. So with a 13 and a 10, Gronkarella and Klug sort of look at each other and both put their hands on the cliff and start climbing. Gronkarella has two basically sharp pick-like items.
Wait.
And she's...
Wait, before we get too far, is Klug going to sense evil on the cliff?
No. I'm climbing the cliff. I'm not attacking or...
I mean,
I'm
in
climbing
theory,
it.
technically, since you're climbing it, you're basically really minorly attacking it. So, in a sense, Klug is fighting evil.
I'm hugging the cliff gently. You happy, bitches?
Sorry, it's just you like
Every
sensed
step is
evil
a
on
hug.
everything else, so...
Because I'm gonna break it down or some shit. I'm not
Okay,
attacking the wall.
so Klug and Gronkarella start climbing. Gronkarella has a scythe basically roped to her back with a rope hanging down from it. And she has the chain from her Sankhim, and she's slowly climbing her way and sort of digging picks into the cliff. The cliff is made of a kind of granite-like stone. It's got quite some sharp edges, and there's some grip handles, but not many. And it's also slightly damp. So basically, you are climbing a sheer cliff face. It has grip handles, but it is damp. It is a DC 15 to climb. Gronkarella manages to make it about 10 foot before she slips and falls back down. With her slightly better climbing skill, Klug manages to make it a full 15 feet before she slips and comes crashing back down to the stones below. None of you have yet successfully managed to scale the cliff.
Let's see.
What do I add to my attack? Just my base attack, or?
Base attack and dexterity.
Why do I have base attack as 0 right now? What's my base attack supposed to be get?
Level 1 bard, 0.
Oh, okay.
You're used to playing level 8 characters.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I attempt to throw the scythe in a very awesome fashion with a great roll of 8. Half of the DC of the cliff that I have to do.
So we're gonna sort of start now, sort of nudging towards you guys taking the sort of impetus for your own descriptions as well. So Toad, you are free to come up with whatever disaster you decide to come up with. Tell us what happens when you throw your scythe and it fails to reach the top.
Okay, well, Grunkrilla, not one to give up, as she's had many hard times in her life.
Many are hard.
Yes. Takes a good, strong swing and heaves a scythe through the air. And is standing on the rope so it doesn't go very far. She gives it a second attempt, this time making me far clear of the rope, and heaves the scythe through the air, and Clug's standing on the damn rope. So on a third attempt, because, you know, third time's a charm, heaves the scythe, and it gets about the 20 feet. Awesome! Except for it went straight up. And then I take a step back, or multiple, so as not to be hit by impending fall of scythe.
So Sapphire is seeing her scythe basically hurled at the cliff repeatedly and coming crashing down into the gravel over and over again. So this is Sapphire's scythe. This is Sapphire's really nice, really sexy scythe.
It's really sexy scythe.
Don't get me wrong, it's custom made.
It's custom made. It also works as a crossbow. She thinks.
Wow.
I took off my armor and put it in my backpack and left my backpack on the ground and climbed to the top. Or attempted to climb.
Okay.
So I'm a naked orc climbing a cliff.
Because that's going to make the slippery wall so much easier to get hold of.
It makes me lighter to get up there, so I don't have to worry about things. I'm retarded, not lighter.
It does make you lighter, but unfortunately, sort of for the people who are going into DMing, it just gives you basically a +2 circumstance bonus to your previous roll. You don't tend to get to re-roll repeatedly for the same thing. So what's happened now is you guys, you three together, have been throwing yourselves and assorted other items at the cliffs repeatedly under the watchful gaze of the crew from the Knoll ship. Some of which are sitting there laughing. Several of them have brought out a keg of beer and are sitting around watching you do this.
Okay, fair enough.
The Knoll captain is just like, every time one of you tries something, the Knoll captain just goes, oh. And just sitting there. And while you're doing this, unbeknownst to our 3 grave adventurers, the Knoll has done what any smart captain would do and sent his ship scouts off north and south. And about sort of 20 minutes into your escapades trying to climb the cliff, the captain walks up to you with this young, wiry little Knoll, skinny little thing with its ribs on show, wearing nothing apart from a pair of short leather trousers and a small blade tucked in the back of its belt horizontally. It is one of the Knoll scouts, very, very fast runner, and trained to run the old-fashioned Knoll way, which is on all fours. And they come up to you, and the captain goes, as skillful and powerful and wonderful climbers as you are, I think we might have an alternative.
Thank fucking God. I've been standing here for 20 minutes while some abomination throws my very, very sexy scythe. Don't get me wrong, it's custom made. This very, very sexy scythe. Very, very sexy scythe. Up and down repeatedly. All right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Do you have a washcloth by any chance? Because I think this is very dirty.
It was dirty before you handed it to me. And if you want to talk about that scythe getting up and down, let's just leave that.
50's dying in the background. So the captain, when Sapphire says "Pray, thank God," nods his head and makes a little sort of like chopping gesture at one of his arms and goes, "Yes, praise Severin." He kind of nods and looks at the scythe when she says it's a very sexy custom-made scythe and gets a slightly bemused look on his face. The kind of look people get when they're dealing with people with severe brain damage. It's just kind of like, yeah, okay, right? He's kind of eager for you to not be involved with his ship anymore because, you know, he has to send crew members up into the forest to try and find a replacement mast at some point, which is going to be a bit of a nightmare trapped on the side of a cliff. So he goes, my runner here, Redbark. She has found a gully about a mile to the north. It's still steep and it's not going to be a pleasant climb, but it's at least a slope rather than a cliff. If you would like a way up the cliff. I'll be staying here. I'll be sending a few crew members to go and fetch some wood. You're welcome to travel with them to the gully.
Lead the way,
Certainly.
Rouge Treeskin.
Redbark looks at Groncarella and then just kind of fingers the knife behind her back. It's just like, whatever you say. Whatever you say. She turns to the captain and just kind of smiles. Isn't it strange? The first thing to go on the old ones is always the hearing.
Groncarella exhibits a very noticeable uncontrolled twitch in her left eye.
So, you guys are sort of joined up with a group of sailors from the Knoll ship carrying some bandsawing and they're carrying assorted pieces of equipment that one would use for harvesting and prepping wood. One of them is even carrying a large wooden bucket containing set tar, which is presumably going to be heated up and melted at some point. And so they sort of lead you off up to the north, back towards Gona Bay City, but not too far. You have traveled quite a few miles since you got onto the Millennium Enterprise. Just watch 50 flinch.
It's not. I don't like it. I just don't like it. You douche.
And a short while later, you arrive at the gully that's going to be leading up to the cliff top. And they were right. It's pretty damn steep. We're still talking like a 0.5 in one slope. So you're still talking like it's still almost kind of that angle. So you've got a slope, but it's not exactly much of a slope.
I scamper up it with a 21.
Ooh, 21 climb.
Because acrobatics! Well, acrobatics because it's a slight slope, or... Well, I guess climb's also a +4, so either way. Your choice.
Yep. And actually, because you have acrobatics and climb, you get what's called a synergy bonus, because both of them could be applicable to this. So you actually get a +2 on top of your climb skill.
Would that have helped earlier? No, not enough.
No, unfortunately. So you scamper up the cliff with
23.
great skill. So Groncarella, despite her advanced age and large frame,
Hey,
goes...
who said anything about large frame? Shapely hips, maybe, but large frame?
Goes scampering up the cliff. Matched 1-for-1 by a couple of the gnolls, who happen to be the rigger gnolls, the gnolls from the mast rigging, who are quite skilled at climbing. Both of the gnolls who are climbing with Groncarella are bloody hell. are carrying long lengths of rope with them, coiled on their backs. I presume Clug is also joining them on this scampering climb.
Yep.
Is Sapphire going to try joining them?
Of course, of course. Well, before we do that, we're gonna take the rope out of the scythe. I tie it around my back and stuff. Put the scythe on my back as well. You know, make sure that's secure on there, very secure on there. And then we're gonna. You said there was a synergy bonus with the climb and acrobatics, correct?
Yes.
So that would make mine a. Yeah, it's level 1. So that would be like a plus 10 for me, since my climb's a 6 and my acrobatics is 4. Correct?
That would make it a +8 because you can only get a +2 synergy bonus.
Oh, all right. So yeah, I'm gonna climb, scale the cliff. So 13. 13 it is.
So Clug goes scampering up along with Groncarella and these climbing knolls. And because it's sloped and because there's places to grab hold of and things like that, Sapphire manages to make her ungainly way after them a lot slower and a lot less sort of pretty in the way she climbs the cliff. When the two rigging knolls get to the top, they both take their ropes off, and the ropes are knotted at about sort of 1.5 foot increments. They tie them around a large rock that they find at the top of the gully, and tie some reasonably weighty rocks to the other end of the rope, and then kick the weighty rocks down the gully with a cry of "Below the watch!"
Okay, and when Groncarella reaches the top, she picks up a small rock and hurls it like a emasculated man, going "Wah!" And it does absolutely nothing because I rolled a 6.
So
What are we even throwing it at?
I was gonna see if I could hit the scythe on the back of whatever Vagabond's character's name is, and see if I could drop
Sapphire?
it like an anchor behind her because she's tied it onto herself. Because it'd be really funny.
No.
So, having gotten to the top of the cliff and settled out, the knolls are sort of now making their way up the rope because the knolls were smart and waited for the good climbers to go first. And now they have a knotted rope, which makes it much, much easier. Because basically, instead of trying to climb up this uneven gully, they're just holding onto the rope, leaning back, and just walking up, going hand over hand up the rope, nice and slowly, carrying their equipment with them. Welcome back, 50. And they start setting up a camp up at the top. So you guys have now ended up at the top of the cliff. We will probably stop here. But first, you find yourself on top of the cliff. To your left is the beautiful expanse of the ocean and a couple of islands. In front of you is the way south towards the promontory and towards, hopefully, the capital city. And to your right is the forest that about a mile back from the cliff, or half a mile back from the cliff, expands off into the wilderness. There are no obvious roads. There is no obvious sign of inhabitation. And you are here pretty much on your own. Apart from, of course, the gnolls. So before next session, our party will have to have a little think about what they wish to do. And then we will come back and we'll find out whether they decide to abandon their quest to reach the capital city and reach the contact of not Bob, whose name I have completely forgotten.
It's something.
It's something, and I can't
His
remember
name
what it
is
was.
something, man. I don't know anymore.
Yeah,
Check my notes.
My notes
he
got deleted.
was. What was his name? He
That's
was.
what I'm. Yeah.
Can't remember. Doesn't matter. I will find out before the next session. So we will leave it there. Thank you all for watching, and we will catch you all in the next episode.